Yep. So this is Berry Share. It's episode 11. We did not get a chance to meet with you last week because I was on vacation. Had a girls' weekend.
Where were you at? You were in California?
Man,
Tell everybody a little bit.
Sunny California. It was so awesome. I had a chance to go with two of my girlfriends. They met. We all met out there. One was coming from Chicago. One was coming from Atlanta. And you know what? We just hung out.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some serious wow time. You can go on to my Facebook page and see more about my time there. But just a couple of quick takeaways from that was just that getting away and like pulling away to actually rest is so critical. I feel like I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I'm a better daughter of the King because I got away and got a little perspective. And then, just making sure that you put aside time, money, effort, energy for yourself. It's just important. And I think that it was really awesome. Brandon invested into me. My friends invested into me. And, Brandon and his parents invested into me.
That's right. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for helping us out.
It was awesome. They held down the fort. I mean, I won't mention the fact that it took 3 people to do my job. But
hey,
moms know what I'm saying.
You're a hero.
What?
All right.
So that was cool. That was an awesome time. And, of course, I was just glad to be home, too, though. As beautiful as Orange County is, as beautiful as Los Angeles is. Well, Los Angeles isn't exactly beautiful, but it's kind of dirty actually. But the people are beautiful.
That's right.
And but as nice of a time as we had, it's always good just to be home in your own bed with your own husband, your own kids. We had a great time. Oh, we're sideways. So, which one are we sideways on?
That one.
On Berry Share. Oh, you're sideways. Okay. Well, let's figure out. Let's talk there while I figure this one out.
Okay. Well, all right. So, what's up, Melinda Pace and Mike Houston? What's up, Pastor Mike? It's good to see you. Hope you guys are all doing well. Our subject tonight, which Pastor Mike Houston from Greenville, you could probably teach this.
Yeah.
We're talking about intentional parenting. And so what we want to do is to really have a conversation tonight, not so much a 30-minute sermon from us, but really a conversation with you about what does it look like to be intentional parents. And I'll say this, being a youth pastor for a while and then being pastoring for the last 5 years, like I really think there's a resurgence, especially amongst the millennial generation, where we want to be good parents.
Yeah, intentional parents.
Intentional parents. And a lot of that comes because a lot of the millennial generation was raised fatherless, was raised, emotionally fatherless or motherless. They didn't necessarily have all of our emotional needs met, or it wasn't ideal on the home front. But out of that, it's not. I don't see, for the most part, the millennial generation saying, like, hey, forget this, where I'm gonna treat my kids worse than I was treated. No, it's actually the opposite. It's I want to be a great parent. But the issue is that we only know what we know.
You can only give what you got.
You can only give what you've got. And so a lot of us didn't necessarily have awesome modeling happening in our own homes. And so a lot of times we're kind of scratching, the surface for trying to figure out, okay, how do I do this? So I'll speak personally for me. I know that playing with our girls is easy for me,
right?
Because I actually did get modeling of that. My dad played with us like crazy, and so horsing around and pillow fights that is just like so natural, because wrestling in the floor. Because John Barry did that with us. What's up, Justin Shockley? Yeah.
Hey.
So that just flows naturally, and so the good things that you do remember, you tend to repeat and even do that on steroids. But what happens when you had a deficiency in an area? So maybe an area that my dad is now the spiritual leader in our family and in his home, but when I was growing up, he wasn't.
Right,
and
you
so
didn't see it.
so you didn't see it, and he didn't know how to like lead a family devotion or something. So for me to be a spiritual leader, as a husband, just because you slap pastor in front of my name, or ordain me to ministry, doesn't mean that I know how to do a regular, devotional with my family, whatever that means.
Right.
Or I know how to be the spiritual leader of my home.
Right.
I'm trying to piece together sermon nuggets I get, and things from mentors, and so here's kind of a question: is I want you to be thinking about what are the models that you have pulled from, especially with parenting, and so what does it look like? And be thinking about, okay, what would it look like to be intentional about giving our kids maybe everything that we had that was good, but then also to be able to give them something that we didn't have.
Yeah. It's a good question. I think a lot of people are asking that. In fact, we came up with this topic because a girlfriend from college just connected with me on Facebook and said, hey, I've been watching Barry share. It's been blessing me and my family. We've got some kids, and we want to be more intentional about making sure that we're pouring the right stuff into them, that we are giving them everything that they need so that when they grow up, they're going to love God and love people the right way. And so, she was just asking, what are some things that we do? And first of all, I just told her this. I just said, like, hey friend, if you're worried about being intentional, if you're thinking about being intentional, if you're concerned that you're not being intentional, then you probably really don't have much to worry about.
Yeah.
Because really what happens is it's going to be those parents who are not thinking about it, who are not saying like, wow, how can I make my kids, understand the concept of God through their relationship with me? How can I introduce them into a relationship with the Lord and how does that influence their relationship with people? The parents who aren't thinking about that are the ones whose kids might grow up and maybe mom and dad went to church every week and they brought them to every week, but if they're not intentionally thinking about those questions, their kids are going to be off on left field, and they're going to be like, what happened? So I just wanted to encourage her, like the fact that you're thinking about it, or the fact that you're even on tonight watching this or watching it in a future broadcast means that, you're already on the right track. If you already say like, hey, I want to know how to be an intentional parent, like I care about how my kids turn out, then you're already got a leg up there. Okay. Right. So I just got to encourage you in that. You're not screwing your kids up.
You're not let me just say, you're not doing as bad of a job as you maybe think you are.
Right.
And I know in the South, especially, especially on Facebook, there's a lot of human highlight reel.
Right.
And so, there might be a dad or a mom, and they have this moment with their kid, and it might be like the only moment all year that they get quality time with their kid, but they are going to put it up on Facebook.
It is filtered.
Right?
It is ready for Instagram.
Yeah.
It is ready for their Insta
and
life.
How does that make you feel when you see that?
Yeah.
It's like if you're planning on proposing, and then the guy like posts his proposal, and he like helicoptered into this exotic island, and you're like, dang, I was just going to hit a knee outside my pickup truck, just like you're like, crap, and it's a comparison track. And I just want to go ahead and tell you, like, you're not doing as bad of a job as you think that you are.
Right.
But I'll say this too. If you think you're doing awesome, you're probably not doing as good of a job as you think you are.
Right.
And we all have room to grow. And so I think humility is required out the gate, is to say, like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing sometimes.
Right, yeah, we're totally not getting it all right.
Yeah, I mean, like...
That's kind of what I was telling my friend. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm humbled that you would ask me advice, but, like, I could ask you advice.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're probably hitting out of the ballpark if not even more than me, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I think
just give yourself some grace. And I think be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Is huge. Because, and this maybe would segue into a little bit of what we did want to was hoping to bring out is that,
can I fix this just a second?
Yeah.
You got some hair hanging out here. Let me just help him out for
Groom
just a
me.
second.
There you go.
Second, please.
Let's all do that. So.
Does anyone else mom do that?
Oh gosh. What's up, Jeff Guy?
I never thought that.
Jeff Doll?
I never thought that I would do that to my kids, and I totally did that to them. I totally did. But anyway, yeah, I would say this about intentional parenting, and this is something that we've, really kind of harped on, is that, like, I think our kids are going to catch more than what we teach them. So it's more caught than taught, and so we overall, the intentionality that we've put into our parenting, and it might not be right. Like I said, our kids are small. Like, we don't know how they're going to turn out. They're not, they could be completely, not what we expected in 20 years. We don't know. We're just trying to do our best. But the main things that we want to show them, that we want them to catch, is we want them to catch us growing in our own walks with the Lord. And so part of our intentional parenting is we're committed to continuing to grow in our own relationships with the Lord, and our relationships with each other, and our relationships with our kids. And so if it's 6:30 in the morning and one of our kids wakes up early, they're likely to find me in the same chair almost every morning with a cup of coffee and my Bible. That's just what I've put into my life. If they wake up in the nighttime and they're gonna probably find Daddy downstairs with his light on and his Bible and his journal, and he's writing in his journal. That's what he's doing. I mean, they know that there's ways that we put into our lives that space to grow. Yeah. Like, they see us reading to continue to learn. They see us going out and serving and taking them with us. Yeah. To say, like, hey, serving others is a priority for us. Serving others is important.
Can I just stop right there?
Yeah.
The whole serving thing, let me tell you, I want to confess here. We have this thing, we try to do like a vision retreat at the beginning of the year. And this past year, we did it in December. And we made all these goals. And I am king at making goals that are totally unrealistic and can't happen. So she, most of the time, will, like, edit the goals so that they're actually realistic. But this year, I was determined. And I created these 6 themes, and I was going to have a theme for every 2 months, and we were going to do
super intentional.
We had a plan, okay? And we have not done that plan. But let me say this. The fact that we even made a plan is, like, I think we just need to high five ourselves and be like, you know what? High five. The fact that, we should be on, like, theme whatever now, like 5 or 6, but we just finished, like, theme 3.
But look, if we hadn't been intentional in setting that up, then we wouldn't have done any of the themes.
No, and so our kids at least know the definition of contentedness, humility, and integrity.
Yeah.
But that's, they haven't gotten to the other ones. And you know what? Maybe God's sovereignty. Maybe God was trying to teach us humility by slowing our roll and be like, hey, you ain't learned that lesson yet.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that we sat down, and I'll be honest, here was something. What did I do? I was having some habits. I had some holy habits, some just, I love Jesus, and so whatever you love, you spend time doing. If you love TV, you spend time watching TV.
Come on.
If you love slither.io, which I might, then you spend a little bit of time, making that worm eat all those dots, okay? So or a snake or whatever it is. It's so stupid and addicting. Okay, but like whatever you love, you spend time on. And that just, a lot of people are talking about, I love Jesus, I love Jesus, I love Jesus. But we don't, do you spend time with him? And I felt like, I love my relationship with God. It's my lifeline. It's my breathing. And so I long to spend time with the Lord. And so our kids do just catch us. It's not like this planned, we're going to have nightly devotionals at 8 o'clock and we're going to read the King James Version of the Bible. And let me tell you, by the way, every time we've tried to have like family devotional with all four of our kids, it's 9, 7, 4, and 2. It is a catastrophe.
Every single time.
Catastrophe. You can blame that on the devil if you want, but I think it's just the fact that we have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old and they interrupt every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're just normal 4 and 2-year-olds. And so what we figured out is we just kind of like, okay, like that was horrible. We're not going to beat ourselves up.
Well, they may not learn like a scripture memory verse from our devotion,
in that structured way.
But I'll put a scripture memory CD into the music, into the in the car, and they know all that scripture, and they'll sing that. And so that was just one way that I'll pause it and we'll talk about it, or it'll be a VeggieTales CD or something. We'll talk about the not just the silly songs, but the actual lesson behind it. And so you have to, part of being intentional is knowing your kids. Where are they in their age, in their maturity level? How much can they, handle?
Yeah.
Because Ella and Allie can handle a lot more.
Right.
And so with them, we've started doing Jesus Calling for Kids. Just before school, they're eating their cereal, they're getting their hair brushed, and one of the 3 of us will read it and we'll talk about it.
Usually you, because you're awake.
No, not you. I'm just saying me or Allie or Ella.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
And we'll talk about it and we'll pray through it. Yeah. And then that's it. And so sometimes they come home and they're like, hey, remember that thing that we read this morning? Like, I did that with this kid on the bus and I just remembered that God had said this and that. And so I just did it, and I'm like, well, that's cool. That's awesome. Way to go. How to make you feel, how to make him feel. And so that was awesome. Hey, Spencer, thank you so much. We love that you watch us and appreciate you leaving a comment. So, hey, what do you guys do? Yeah. What's 1 or 2 things? Just put in a comment. What, if you're a parent, what's just 1 or 2 things that you think of when you think of intentional parenting? Is there a question that you have? Is there something that you do that's, hey, it's working? We want to share it. Please share it with us. Is there something that you're just like, man, I tried this and it didn't work? Help. So we'd love for you to just comment on that. We're going to continue, but as we see your comments, we'll stop and connect with you on those. But
we're not asking for the human highlight reel, but we are asking is what are some things that you have seen that are working? Yeah. That is like, okay, this is like I felt like I had a win, with my kid. Yeah. And I think part of what we're talking about is as you were talking, honey, I think what hit me is that God is working on me and He's working on you.
Right.
And there's something that God's trying to develop in our character right now. Mm-hmm. And I was going to say that, one of the things that we were talking about in parenting, in our goals that we set for our kids was we're going to try to seize teachable moments.
Yeah.
And just recognize based on their age and just trust that the Holy Spirit's going to reveal that to us. That in the moment you can seize a teachable moment. But like you said, we're going to try to make it age appropriate. And it's almost like golden rule parenting.
Right.
Of hey, it's really hard, but would I have wanted Dad to cram a 20-minute sermon down my throat when I was 7 years old? No. I would want a conversation, and I want him to not use any words that I don't understand. And if he did use a big word, that he would ask me if I knew what it meant. And so I had one of those nights, yesterday with Ella, and we got to talk about alcohol and the whole topic of whether a Christian could drink alcohol and when and was it just a cardinal sin and just that whole thing, and we were able to seize a teachable moment in that, and it was received.
Yeah. A couple of people here are talking about how knowing your kids specifically is really important. And so, Jocelyn says knowing their love languages and help understand their needs as an individual. And I mean, I would just say as you get to know your children more, what works, what doesn't work, how they respond well.
What's up, Moses?
Erica was over here saying that, when they talk to their son, that he doesn't respond if you yell at him, but if you're stern with him, there's a difference. That you could, have an opportunity to really connect with him, and he understands it. He's only 1, so if you guys already know that about your son, that's pretty impressive. That you
Jade
guys
Day
know.
says she's got a 2-year-old. You said less than 2 meatball. That's probably a typo, but I'm gonna start calling my kids meatballs just because
That's
you said
awesome.
that. Because Jade, you're awesome. But tonight she reminded me to pray. I'm telling you, our kids they catch on to what we do habitually.
Yeah, like
because what we do habitually is something we're telling them we value this. And so they're learning from our example. Way to go, Jade.
Yeah.
I mean, your kid is like reminding you to pray because you're making that a habit.
I love it. She says it's not a typo. It's really a meatball.
A meatball? Okay.
I love that.
You're gonna have to explain that.
Please explain how you got that sweet nickname for your kid. I love that little meatball. So,
yeah. Matt Gross. Oh my gosh, that's a blast from the past.
Aww,
what's up, man?
That's awesome. She's a meaty little gal. Oh, I love it. Can you please post a picture? Maybe if you don't feel comfortable doing it for everybody,
we want to see your meatball. I was the chubbiest
meatball.
Baby that I've ever seen.
They called him Boss Hog.
So I was Boss Hog.
So anyway, but I would just say this.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to get to know your kids. You have to get to know their individual needs. You have to get to know how each one responds. And if you have more than one kid, that means you have to do a lot of research on each one. And so you have to have
research?
Yes, you're researching your kids. Like, what do they like? What do they not like?
Does that mean reading books about each kid?
I think that, no. I think that
that's a lot of books.
Okay, stop.
I haven't been researching my wife that she doesn't like me to interrupt her.
Yeah. I would say, you're paying attention to each one of your kids. What are their love languages? How do they respond? How do they thrive? And what learning environment are they a tactile learner? Do they need to touch things and actually experience things to be able to understand it? Can they learn it just by reading? Can they learn it just by watching you? So how does each child learn is a really big, important part of teaching them. So, but we just had four quick points tonight. We're going to continue this as maybe a little mini series on intentional parenting because there's tons of great information out there. And one of the things that we just love to do is we love to read and we love to learn. And so we're going to, as we continue to learn more about being intentional and put those things into practice, we'll share more and more. But we've got a great idea of what has worked in the past for us so far. And I mean, but again, tonight I gotta tell you, like, we had a conversation today about intentional parenting. It wasn't because we were talking about this tonight. It was because, like, we had to figure out, are we being intentional about what we're doing with our kids? Are they watching too much TV or not enough TV, or what are they watching on TV? It was like a check-in. Like, Brandon's been home more often because of his vocational change, and so he's like, hey, what are we doing during this time? Are we doing homeschool? Are we doing? And so being intentional about it is something it's a fluid motion. Yeah. Really, it's not a stringent thing. It's not a strict thing. So number one, and what we say is, and I see Jocelyn's question before I get that. Oh, can we find the earlier ones? The earlier versions of our... Melinda, are you talking about the earlier versions of all of our Berry Share? Those are on our Berry Share page over on Facebook, /Berry Share, and you can go on all of this. Also on our YouTube channel, which is, just look up Berry Share on YouTube. Jocelyn was asking what's the difference between being firm but not yelling. Where's the line? That's a fuzzy one. I definitely think that the line depends on your kid. And so, with one of our children, we could be, like, Ella, get it done. And she could, like, fall apart. With Allie, you can be like, Allie, get it done. And she'll be like, sure, why not? And
yes, sir.
Yeah, and she thinks it's funny. So I think that, we need to keep kindness in our voice, even when we have to be firm. And so there's a difference between, like, you stupid kids, get this crap put up right now, I'm going to burn the whole house down.
Well, I think here's something, and I see Lori Crawford and Eddie Went, you were talking about teenage kids. And I think one of your comments that you said earlier, Eddie, was that we've got to remember that we're not raising kids. We're raising men and women.
Yeah.
And so, let me ask: do you guys? I mean, I'm just saying, like, do you like to be controlled? Do you like to be backed into a corner and made to do something?
Mm-mm.
Well, neither do your kids.
Right.
Your kids want to feel like they are powerful. They want to feel like they have a choice. And so let me just say, like, one of the things that I will say, like walking through discipline and all that. I remember we went to, anybody who goes to Redemption down in Greenville, Pastor Paula Houston's parenting class. Whoop, whoop.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic, and it was awesome. And like, how do you how do you discipline your kids and love them in the discipline? And she just, like, line by line walked us through that, and I learned some incredible things. Let me say, like, here lately in the last year, we've added to, I think, our parenting arsenal, and we found this resource by Danny Silk and his family out from Bethel Church in Redding, California, and it's called Loving Our Kids on Purpose.
Awesome.
And honey,
Super
just
awesome
unpack
resource.
a little bit about the philosophy behind that, just in a little nugget or two that'd be useful.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, Danny Silk's main premise is that we don't control our kids. We teach them how to control themselves by controlling ourselves. And so when your kids start acting up and it is like completely a chance for you to, like, lose your crap, then you have the spirit of self-control given to you by the Holy Spirit, and you he gives you even, like, tools to be able to pull out and be like, when this happens, I'm going to use this tool. So it's not an emotional response. It's a response that helps that child be able to regain control of themselves. And so, and you give them choices instead of just saying, like, put your shoes on. You say stuff like, would you like to put your shoes on here? Or would you like to take them to the car and put them on when you get in the car? You're still putting your shoes on. You don't tell them that. But basically, it's a parent's secret.
It's a mind trick. It's a Jedi mind trick.
This works with all ages. So whether it's our parents are teenage friends. I know Misty and Lori and Eddie, and even Keith over there with a teenager. Like, if you want to help your kids be able to have some sense of control, you're going to want to give them two choices that you're pretty okay with. So it could be, something like, do you want to call me when you get to the movies, or do you want to call me, right after the movie's over before you come home? And so either way, you're letting me know that you made it to the movies and that you're okay. I don't know if that's a great idea, but whatever. We'll figure that out. Maybe y'all can tell us. But anyway, I just think that we'll talk more about that. I don't want to get too far into it, but I do want to just talk about these 4 things.
Sorry,
but if you do want to look, he's always off topic sometimes. So, if you want to look at that book, it's not called Keeping Your Love On. It's called Loving Our Kids on Purpose by Danny Silk. So, all right. Number 1 we said is live by our priorities. And so the number 1 thought on intentional parenting is, am I living according to my real priorities? Not my just stated priorities, but like my real priorities. And so what are your real priorities is the first question to that is, are your priorities in the proper order? We say that we want God to be number 1 in our lives, but is he? Like, are you showing your kids that God really is number 1 in your life? Or are you just giving God church service on Sunday and no other time during the week? Do they catch you making God a priority in your life?
And let me just say this, like, if we say it's our number 1 thing, then that means that we have to prioritize that for our spouses. And so, husbands, it's more important that your wife spends time with Jesus than it is that she spends time with you.
Right.
And I've realized that my wife is a much better wife and mother and just human being if she's had time with Jesus.
Right.
And so whatever I can do to encourage that, and even say, hey babe, let me just take care of this so you can and we call it have some Jesus time. We are intentional about being with each other, and so we have a date every other Friday night.
Yeah.
But it's more important that Nicole has dates with Jesus than she has dates with me.
And relating all this to parenting, like they see that stuff. And so, and also, are we telling them that they're a priority in our life, but they only get this much of us, or they get the last bit of our energy after work and ministry and friends and social media, and people who aren't even, important are getting the best of us. And so, I just want to challenge you. It's a lot easier to get a temporary applause from a stranger than to get a hearty endorsement from the people who really know you and love you. And so are the people who really know you and love you, are they giving you that hearty endorsement of he or she is who he or she says they are? So is mom really, like if mom says that she loves Jesus and she loves dad and she loves us, is that who she's actually being? Is that what she's actually doing? What does that look like in your schedule? What does that look like in your budget? What does that look like in your mind space? Like, do you give Jesus enough space in your mind that he can transform your mind? Do you give your spouse enough space in your mind that you have the space to be able to listen to a hard conversation or work through a conflict? Do your kids know that you're listening to them?
Do you have margin in your schedule? I mean, just say this. Like, would you read a book if it had words all the way to the left margin, to the right margin, top, bottom, and it was just all words and it had no empty space? No, you'd be miserable.
Yeah.
Because we're wired to have that empty space, because it just does something to our psyche. And I think that's really our next theme, by the way, is what's God working in our lives.
Yeah.
Is number one, it was contentedness. Then it was humility. Anybody else need to work on humility? Then integrity, and that's wholeness. But our next theme that we're about to jump into in October is simplicity.
Getting rid of stuff.
Just getting rid of stuff. I mean, we're
Creating
purging.
more margin.
We're just trying to create, just so that it takes 5 minutes to clean up the bonus room instead of 35 minutes, because we have 20% of the toys that we used to have.
Right. Yeah. Like I just went through and just took tons of toys, an entire toy box, like tons and tons. I made 5 trips to Goodwill in a week, a car full. And my kids were like, why are you getting rid of all of our toys? And I just said, because I want to spend more time playing with you.
That's intentional parenting. Like doing something like that, letting them see the principle of simplicity, which is a spiritual discipline, but actually letting them see that model. Man, I remember when Mom took all that stuff to Goodwill because she said she wanted to spend more time with us. And I remember like it made a difference. She was spending less time cleaning and more time FaceTime with
building the blocks.
With us.
I only kept things that would foster creativity or, working together, like teamwork. And so, one good thing that Melanie just said was
I love that comment, Melanie. I wish I could see all of it.
I know. Well, she was just saying how, like, allowing your kids to have a different opinion than you is a really great way of being an intentional parent. Because if we don't ever let our kids form their own opinions, then they're going to walk around like robots. Because if they don't like our opinions, then they're going to steal someone else's opinions, and their opinions that they're stealing or that they're adopting may not be good opinions either. And so I'd much rather, I think that's huge, Melanie, I'd much rather let my kids come to me with whatever they're feeling, whatever their opinions are, and be like, Mom, I think this about this. And then us have like a floor real discussion about it. Yeah. Not that I'm trying to change their opinion, but because I want to learn, how did they get there? How did they come to that in their own thinking, in their own mind? And so, I mean, that's, Melanie, I just really respect the relationship that you have with your older children now. And so definitely taking that one and putting it in my pocket for later, because I think, with our kids, Ella is just now getting to the point where she has her own opinions about things.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like, what do they want to wear? Ella and Allie. And so, like, I'm used to picking out their clothes. Well, the last few, year or so, they want to pick out their own clothes. And sometimes they don't wear stuff that I'd want them to wear. Yeah. Like, as long as it's not inappropriate, they're wearing it, basically. Like, okay, that's what you want to wear. Cool. Awesome. Unless it's like a specific event, then I'm
we'll try to honor their wishes and let them be empowered with choices. And it's just kind of not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And let me just say this, like, we need to give ourselves a break. And I just need to say, I had to apologize to Nicole this morning for having perfectionistic expectations. I just do. And I'm trying to get over it. You know, and you saw that look, right? Okay. So, y'all pray for me. But, and pray for her more. Because when you listen, we're not just going to be perfect. And
our kids are going to be perfect.
Kids are going to be perfect.
They're going to make mistakes. Every day they're going to make mistakes. Do they know that they are loved and accepted no matter what? Can you be okay with your messy kid? Can you be okay with the kid whose part on their hair never looks right? Can you be okay with the kid who has really bad breath or who sings horribly and loudly in the car? Can you be okay with that? Can you just let them sing horribly and loudly in the car? Without being like, no, you're off. You don't, or just be quiet. Don't sing like that. You know, I mean, can they just be kids? Can they just be kids? Or can they just be teenagers who mess up and who don't really?
I love what Eddie's saying. He's saying when you make a mistake as a parent, apologize to your kid. Like don't. So that's I think when you screw up is an incredible modeling opportunity.
Yeah. Because
how are they going to know how to apologize unless they hear you apologize to them?
Right.
But if you're too proud to apologize and you're always trying to say, well, I'm so-and-so, so I'm not going to apologize. Well, then how can you expect them to apologize when they're mean to their friends?
Right.
If you were just mean to them. And so I can tell you, we apologize to our kids quite often.
Yeah.
You know, somebody asked the difference between yelling and, and being firm. Well, I can tell you, I've crossed that line on the wrong side and I've had to apologize. Nicole apologized to Caroline last night for some decibel levels that were, a little higher. But it was like, but you did it immediately. Yeah. I remember just being like, whoa, that was serious. And then like within 10 seconds, Nicole was apologizing to Caroline. Caroline, I'm sorry. Like, I shouldn't have yelled at you. And, I mean, I'm telling you, like our kids learn from that's where we're talking about. Let them pick up on what God's teaching you.
Right.
And let them learn from your not just your good stuff, but let them learn from your failures.
Yeah, that's so good.
And let them learn, let me say this. Let them see that you're being kind to yourself in the middle of your imperfections because God is being kind to you. And if you can be kind to yourself, then you can learn how to be kind to your children. And I remember that Sarah Young in Jesus Calling, let me just kind of give you this if you hadn't read this one. 2 words that will change your life. Are you ready? You ready to write them down? 2 words that will change your life. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
I remember when we first read that, and it was just like, wow, could I say, oh, well?
Yeah.
When something's imperfect, can I just say,
oh, well.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Today that happened this evening. So Brandon, my dad's in town, and he's helping Brandon do a project up in the garage. And so I was kind of doing dinner and childcare and get the kids to bed and stuff. And so Allie comes down, and she's like, Mom, I need to tell you something. And I was like, what's going on? And she's like, I took a drink upstairs to the bonus room and I spilled it. And I was like, oh, all right. Okay. And she's like, on the ground. I was like, okay. And she's like, on the rug. She was like waiting on me to be like, And I was just like, all right, were you able to get it up? Or, like, what are you going to do? And so she was like, well, I already tried to clean it up. It's just water. It's not that big of a deal. And I was like, okay. And like, she just kind of looked at me like, and it was just kind of like that, oh, well. I mean, I didn't say, oh, well, but I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Not that big of a deal. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. And she's like, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't bring food and drink upstairs without asking. And, that's one of our rules. Yeah. Like, we just don't want them to be,
I mean,
having a food party up there,
but even at the church, I remember us coming up with these rules. I think because I needed to work on it, was we're going to value love over the list. Mm-hmm. We're going to value people over progress. We're going to value relationships over the rules. Mm. And I'm telling you, like, our kids can feel that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get it backwards. And you know what? I have to apologize then, and I do, and then they forgive me. Mm. And they are so good at forgiving. And I'm just
they're really good.
They're really
kids
good.
Kids are so resilient. Yeah. So, like, okay, I forgive you. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
And I love that about kids. I mean not just our kids, like a lot of kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're wired. We want to reconcile. We're wired for that.
Yeah. So, well, any other thoughts or questions? I think we're probably going to move forward from here and just kind of close down tonight. But we're going to talk more about intentional parenting, because there is still a lot to cover about just how to guard our kids' gates. Help them figure out what's going into them, because what goes in comes out eventually. We want to talk about intentionally meeting our children's emotional needs, so that when they leave our home, they're leaving with a full cup, so that they're not looking to the world to fill their cups. We're going to talk about that in the future weeks to come. So we'd love for you to be a part of that. And if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, feel free to send us a message on any of our Facebooks, on Brandon Berry, Nicole Berry, or Berry Share. We got one more here from Misty. She says she's a single mom to 4 girls. She's telling them constantly she's a work in progress and don't expect them to be perfect, and they have to live with her rules. She's not looking to be their friend. I think that's so good. I saw something on Facebook today. It was this mama, and she was like eating ice cream, and she was like, look, I'm not my kids' friends. I've got 3 kids who are mad at me because I'm their parent. And she was like, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. When you're an adult, I hope that you're the kind of person that I want to be friends with. But right now, I got to do the parenting part of it to make sure that you get there. She's being intentional about it. And so I think that's good. Misty, I'm sure you're doing a great job, and you're, just keep up with it, sister. I've seen so much life change in you. I'm sure that your kids have caught it even more than what you speak. They are watching your life transform before their very eyes, and they are catching it. So who else here? Georgia Durr, what's up, girl? We love you. We love you too. We miss you. Hey Valerie, hey Lori, hey Erica, hey Jocelyn. Thank y'all so much for being a part of Berry Share tonight. We will connect with you again next Thursday at 9 o'clock. So take care, and we'll see you soon. God bless. Finish.
Holla.